welcome to another HopCast.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
So I'm Brad Chmielewski.
My name's Ken Hunnemeder.
And you recognize this guy.
I'm Charlie Drews.
And we're doing 3 ales tonight.
We are. It's kind of like a package deal with these. They're from Scotland.
Scotland, Highland Park. Like, is that the area, right? Or is that the...
Alright, here's the deal with these are the Ola Dubhs. And it's the Highland Park is the whiskey makers.
Okay.
In which the barrels are used. So the barrels that they use are from Highland Park whiskey.
Okay, so Highland Park is not an area in Scotland, or is it?
No, it's probably, Highland Park is a distillery in Scotland. Highlands is a whole region of Scotland, but that's like a big whole area of Scotland called the Highlands. So I would assume it's somewhere up there. I don't actually know where.
Okay.
Within it.
And the beer is made by Harviestoun Brewery, also in Scotland.
So they're getting the kegs, or the barrels, right? The barrels from Highland Park. It's putting this beer in it.
So I think they're friends with this distillery. They say, hey, give us your old oak casks that you've aged your Scotch whiskey in for all these years. When you're done with them, give them to us, and we'll age the beer in them. And they get the different casks that have had whiskey in them for different amounts of time.
Exactly.
And so the casks are a little bit different. They impart a different flavor to the different beers, so it allows them to do some really cool stuff. I would imagine, I haven't had them yet, but I would imagine it's some pretty cool stuff.
We brought our whiskey connoisseur along with us.
That's why I'm on this episode. I like Scotch a lot, so. And I like beer a lot.
So we have the 12, 16, and 30. And so that is not the age of the beer.
No.
That's the age that the barrel was used, right?
Yeah. So they took a barrel that had Scotch in it for 12 years. Once the Scotch was out of it, then they put the beer in that one for, I don't know, how long do they usually age beers for?
I would assume it was going for over a year at least.
Okay.
But
certainly not 12 years.
No.
And then
it would have been a lot more expensive than it was.
Right, yeah, and the casks that were used for 16 years or for 30 years to age whiskey, then afterwards used to make these beers. So the longer that the whiskey is in the cask, the more whiskey flavors in the cask, the more residual, peatiness from the Scotch gets in there. So the more flavor it has to put back into the beer that goes in there next.
And there was even, I saw a posting on Beer Advocate maybe a couple weeks ago. We have, like we said, the 12, 16, and the 30. There was some bar around Chicago, it was up on Broadway, I think, that actually had on cask the Ola Dubh 50. So I didn't even know they made that, and we were busy and we couldn't hop up there and try it.
They're definitely not bottling it right now.
So. No. So, but should be a fun episode. We're gonna kind of do a parallel tasting and see, it's the same beer in each bottle. It's just aged in a different cask.
Right, and they were all bottled September 07. Right?
Okay, so
September 07?
Yeah.
We have the same freshness date on it, and so we were just gonna sit there and kind of compare all 3 of them.
It looks like they're all 8% alcohol, so it's a fairly strong beer. So it'll be fun because they're
Not for Brad.
And it'll be fun because we're probably going to be drunk by the end of the episode. So
It's not as high as you'd think for like a barrel aged.
This is true.
Beer.
It's fairly modest. Maybe that's a European thing. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's cool. Each one has a bottle number, so you can probably go back to that series and look at they probably keep tabs on that was bought from this cask and barrel. Yeah.
Very much like a Russian River Allagash type of thing.
Oh, did you have some of the 19762? I had the 19760. It's considered to be better. No big deal.
Oh yeah, the 060 had boogers in it.
Why? All right, moving on. Anyway, before we get too far into it, I wanted to quote from the literature that was hanging around the neck of one of the bottles. So as we said, the brewery is called Ola Dubh. No, not the brewery, I'm sorry. Was it Harviestoun? Harviestoun. But this line of beers are called the Ola Dubh beers, and it says they're called Ola Dubh or Black Oil. It's so named because it is gloopy and viscous. They actually use the word gloopy, so I'm really excited because I love thick, heavy beers. So,
so let's pour out this motor oil and.
So how do we want to pour it? We each pour one?
Yeah, I think we each pour one and we'll kind of just pass them around and taste them.
Okay. Alright, so they poured out pretty close to the same, right?
Yeah, visually they should be the same.
Yeah.
The difference is going to be in the aroma and the flavor.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't know if I would have used the word gloopy to describe that. It wasn't quite as thick as the word gloopy led me to believe, but it is definitely a thick, heavy beer. Almost opaque. I'm not really seeing any light coming through.
No, not too much, no.
I have no head, which you would kind of expect from a barrel-aged beer.
It's almost more of a cask style type of thing.
But
oh my good God.
It smells boozy.
Wow. If there's anyone else like me who's a big fan of both whiskey, particularly scotch, and beer, holy shit, you need to go get a bottle of this. I haven't even tasted it yet, and I could say that, wow, it smells like you're sipping a glass of whiskey.
So let's start with the 12 and kind of work our way.
Getting ahead of myself.
Take a smell of that one. Pass it around. So I have the 12.
Okay. A lot of the bright alcohol smell. I mean, it smells like it's going to be a lot stronger than 8%.
I certainly pick up on the peated notes from the scotch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised once I looked at all these that they were 8% after.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they're all 12. That's what the smell. It seems to indicate that they're real strong. They're actually not.
Yeah, I mean, I get this smokiness, and I can't tell if there is also some like smoked malts in there as well, or if it's just from the peated scotch barrels.
It smells more like peat because I guess real roasted malts can sometimes like malt used in beer can sometimes be a little smoky, but the peatiness it's more. I don't know.
It's certainly more pronounced. I just don't know if there's
a more piney quality to it. It's just a mossier smell that the scotch has than roasted beer malts.
Rubber bandy.
Yeah.
That's nice. So I tasted it.
And we're tasting.
So right off, it does not taste as strong as it smells.
Oh, it's actually really smooth in the mouth. Doesn't burn at all. If you ever had, like, for example, the Goose Island, was it the Bourbon County Stout, which is bourbon casks, not Scotch casks, but still, it's a beer aged in old whiskey cask. It's strong. It kind of almost burns a little bit going down, which is not a bad thing. It's delicious.
But that's over 13%.
Yeah.
So
this, it certainly smells like it's going to be that same feeling, but it's not. It goes down really smooth.
Yeah, I mean, the aroma is straight up scotch, so you think that it's going to be like a glass of scotch.
Yeah.
So you take a little sip and
ease
it.
And the flavor is certainly, you can sense the scotch in there. It's delicious, especially if you like that sort of thing. It's almost like a 50-50 battle between beer and scotch.
I would agree. You get the earthiness and the peatiness of the scotch and some sweetness from the malt and the beer. I'd say the beer itself is actually kind of on the sweet side, and that counteracts the earthiness of the scotch really well.
I'd like to taste the base beer before being aged, just to see.
I have a feeling it'd be really sweet.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, like, if someone gave me a glass of 12 and a 16.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to tell them apart by smell.
That was a 16, come on!
To me, this one tastes or smells less peaty and more sweet. Maybe just me. I'm actually getting some sour notes off this one too.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, a little bit of that sour sort of lambic, that yeasty sourness. I don't know if we're gonna taste that or not, but I can sort of feel it in the back of your nose.
I'm so surprised how different these are from the aroma to the taste. Again, 16.
Ooh. I'd say there's more yeast flavor in this one than in the 12.
This one, the 12, is more malty and chocolatey getting than the 16.
I'm really shocked because this seems to be more of a subtle scotch flavor. Whereas I would think it's aged for a longer period of time, it would be more intense.
I agree. I think the 16 is a little bit less peaty, a little bit less of the scotch smokiness.
Certainly, it may be a touch sweeter and Also very delicious.
Do you get a little bit more yeast flavor in that one? Or
it is a little bit, yeah, you're right.
Compare. Go back and forth. You forget, you smell, you forget.
They are definitely both chocolatey though. There's definitely some. I don't think there's chocolate in it, but there's just a little bit of from the roasted malts, a little bit of chocolate undertone in there. Chocolate and scotch are kind of nice pairing. I like that.
Yeah, I think the 12 is just a little bit earthier to me. And then just to keep this straight, this is the 12, this is the 16.
Yeah. We're gonna mix them up. We should have needed a third vessel here.
I certainly think this would be a great after dinner drink.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's perfect. We just ate some pizza and stuff like that. Probably not a good after.
Maybe something a little bit more refined than pizza and deep fried jalapenos like we ate, but you know.
Yeah, I definitely think 12 is a little more roasted, chocolatey.
Paired with a nice dessert. So on to the 30. Go ahead.
Work our way.
We'll start in line. Make the natural progression as we started along the show.
So yeah, I think definitely a little more boozy. You smelled it already.
I
smelled
it first and then went to the 12, and I remember this one being much more peaty than the 12. Now I'm not so sure. I don't know. My sensors are just getting used to it.
Yeah, I wasn't smelling as much peat, but I'm just used to it. I'd like to drink these beers with like a bread pudding.
That'd be nice
And
too.
a nice like some vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. See, now when I'm smelling it, I smell more chocolate than anything else.
I think they're getting a little bit mellower, a little bit more subtle as you move along.
So would that be a characteristic of an aged Scotch, though? Is it mellows out more so?
Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, that does sort of make sense. The longer Scotch ages, the longer the different flavors have been mingled together and sort of blend together, and it becomes a more cohesive flavor without any individual characteristics sticking out so much. And I might be full of shit, but I think this is true. And
I mean, that's definitely the case with beer.
Yeah.
Things tend to round out and mellow. Sometimes if a beer is a little bit too harsh, you put it down for a year or two. And
So with the third, I had a little more sharp alcohol, like right up
I think it
front.
tastes a little more alcohol. Yeah. Oh, that is really good. A little stronger up front. Definitely still a lot of chocolate flavors. Not particularly peaty, I don't think. There's a little bit maybe.
it's certainly there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how it's finished so clean. Like all of them, like a little bit of roastiness, chocolatey, and then just gone. Like it.
There's so much going on in them because there's bitterness, there's smokiness, and there's sweetness. And the aroma is fantastic on all of them. It's just like there's just so many different phases you go through when you're drinking it.
All right. I just tried all three in a row, and I recommend you guys do that. I agree with Brad. I think the 12 is definitely the most chocolatey.
Okay.
And I think the 30 is definitely the most peaty. I think maybe I'd forgotten how peaty these were when I tasted that. This one I think is more peaty. It's more smoky, more earthy. It's also, but it's got plenty of malt sweetness to balance it. So it's not overwhelmingly smoky or overwhelmingly anything. It's a very nice harmony of different elements.
The 16 almost gets lost between the two.
Yeah, it's sort
like
of
that's definitely sweeter. That has a little more burn, and it's like, what happened to the 16?
this is like a medium level of chocolatey, medium level of sweetness, medium level of smokiness.
So is 12, 16, 30 like a normal age for whiskey? Why not 20? Why not?
No, that's a good question. It depends on the distillery. 12 is a real common age for whiskeys. 12 and 16 are.
I agree with you that the 30 is the most peaty in the flavor, but I think the 12 is the most peaty in the aroma.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
And now I'm confusing myself, and I'm juggling all of them, and
Just do a blend and just pour them all.
That's actually not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. I love blending beers. And one thing that's really cool to do if you ever go to like out here in Chicago, sometimes there's vintage beer festivals where you have the same beer that's been aged for different vintages. Take an old one and a new one, and blend them together, and you kind of get the best of both worlds. These are really strong, by the way.
You can get the funk of the one that's been aged for a long time. Gets that sort of musty funkiness, and then fresh. Like the fresh, the brighter flavor of the new one. And the combination of the two is really good. Actually, the last time we were at a beer festival at Delilah's. Shout out! Am I allowed to say that? Yeah. It's a great bar in Chicago.
You're probably a co-host, aren't you?
Delilah's a great bar in Chicago that does. They do a lot of these beer festivals where they have all these different vintages. They get all these breweries to come in. They bring a bunch of it. It's really great. You should go to their website and keep an eye out for the next festival they have. Ken recommended. He said, "Here, try these two different ages. I blend them together," and he's absolutely right. It's really good.
So should we try? Should we blend the 12 with the 30 here?
I think we should.
Should we do a fresh pour or just mix these two?
Let's go ahead and just mix them. It'll be easier.
Science here, folks.
You want to throw some 16 in there?
No, let's see what this does first.
Now we're looking for really chocolatey and really peaty.
I think it loses something.
Didn't work in this case. Fail!
It was kind of nice up front, and then
I would say the peatiness of the 30 is dominating over the sweetness and chocolatey flavor of the 12. I think the 30 is definitely winning this little battle.
They were to fight.
Yeah.
KO.
They're to fight.
KO.
The 30, yeah, he knocked out the 12. Sorry, 12.
This is a different animal though, because these beers aren't aged. They're just using different aged barrels.
Yeah.
So
we are mixing our.
It's not exactly the same situation going on here. I think 8% falls into about like the year to 2 year range. And then
I think we're doing it now.
Yeah.
So. Had you on speed dial, got you right over here.
I don't know if you remember one of the.
He wasn't even going to come over tonight. I'm like, Ola Dubh. He's like.
One of the episodes I was on a while back was an IPA episode, and Brad had an IPA that he'd aged for like 2 or 3 years. Didn't turn out so well, so we learned our lesson there. Don't age beers for too long.
Yeah, for you newcomers of the HopCast, only certain beers will age well, and
IPAs are not one of them.
Not so.
Higher alcohol beers, yes, will age well, but if they're hoppy beers, you don't necessarily want to age them because you lose the hops, which is what you like.
So a beer like this, which is not particularly hoppy, I mean, there's a little bit of hops bitterness in there, but it's mostly about the Scotch flavor and about the malty
sweetness,
flavor.
right.
So this is a really good one to age, because the hoppiness will go away with age and it'll leave the beer unbalanced. But if it's not a hoppy beer to begin with, then you're not going to lose anything when you age it. You're just going to gain a pleasant, mellow funk.
But this was a cool experiment.
No, this was great, and these beers are all fantastic. Go ahead and try this out because it's really great. Even if they, how much were these bottles each?
I thought they only ran about $10 each.
So $10 for one 12-ounce bottle, kind of steep. So if you want to just like pick one up, certainly try it. It's really good.
And you don't need a whole bottle for yourself. This is definitely a beer where one 12-ounce bottle will easily. Serve like 4 people. This is an after dinner sipping beer. So,
But yeah, thanks for watching the HopCast. Hope you learned something. And
I certainly did. It was really cool.
I learned that this is awesome. Ola Dubh from the Harviestoun Brewery in Scotland, using barrels from the Highland Park distillery. How about it?